Great music you need to know about. In this day and age, there are so many artists who are not known. In this article I will detail various artists, whether they are classic greats who impacted music and artists, the world over, and across generations. Like AC/DC Elvis Presley, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Or they are unique artists who create music that is uncommon in this time. Like Sabaton, Corpse Husband, or Wind Rose. This is not a top list, just a collection of singers and groups I want to talk about. The list will be alphabetical, but only so that I can reduce the risk of putting them into the article multiple times. Please excuse any mispronunciations by TTS. The English TTS has trouble with non-English words. But, if you watch Zentreya, you should be fine. As a result of YouTube's rules pertaining to links in descriptions, I will be adding site details to the video.
Bad Religion is an American punk rock band, formed in Los Angeles, California, in 1980. The band's lyrics cover topics related to religion, politics, society, the media, and science. Musically, they are noted for their melodic sensibilities, and extensive use of three-part vocal harmonies. The band has experienced multiple lineup changes, with singer Greg Graffin being the band's only constant member, though fellow founding members Jay Bentley and Brett Gowitz have also been with the band for most of their history, while guitarist Brian Baker has been a member of the group since 1994. Guitarist Mike Dimkick and drummer Jamie Miller have been members of the band since 2013 and 2015 respectively. To date, Bad Religion has released 17 studio albums, 2 live albums, 3 compilation albums, 3 EPs, and 2 live DVDs. They are considered to be one of the best-selling punk rock acts of all time, having sold over 5 million albums worldwide. After gaining a large underground following and critical praise through their releases on Gowitz's label Epitaph in the 1980s and early 1990s, Bad Religion experienced mainstream success after signing to the major label Atlantic in 1993. The band pioneered the punk rock revival movement of the 1990s, establishing a formula for California-based punk bands such as Green Day, and Epitaph signed acts The Offspring, Knocks and Rancid. They are also cited as an inspiration or influence on the 1990s and 2000s pop punk, skate punk, post-hardcore, screamo, and emo scenes. Atlantic reissued the previously released on Epitaph album, Recipe for Hate, which became commercially successful, as did its 1994 follow-up Stranger Than Fiction. Stranger Than Fiction included some of Bad Religion's well-known hits, including Infected, Stranger Than Fiction, and the re-recorded version of 21st Century. The album was later certified gold in both the United States and Canada. Shortly before the release of Stranger Than Fiction, Gowitz left Bad Religion to run his label Epitaph on a full-time basis, and was replaced by Brian Baker. The band's success had slowly dwindled by the late 1990s, and, after 3 more albums, they were dropped from Atlantic in 2001. This resulted in Bad Religion returning to Epitaph, and Gowitz rejoining the band. Since then, they have undergone a resurgence in popularity, with Sorrow, Los Angeles Is Burning, and The Devil in Stitches, becoming top 40 hits on the US charts, while their 16th studio album, True North, became Bad Religion's first album to crack the top 20 on the Billboard 200 chart, where it peaked at number 19. The band's 17th studio album, Age of Unreason, was released on the 3rd of May, 2019. History, formation, and early recordings. Bad Religion in 1980. Bad Religion was formed in Los Angeles, California in 1980, by high school students Greg Graffin, Jay Bentley, Jay Ziskraut, and Brett Gowitz. Their first public performance was playing 6 or 8 songs at a Fullerton, California, or Santa Ana, California, warehouse opening for Social Distortion. Their first official show was on the 11th of November, 1980, at Joey Kill's Bar in Burbank, California. Graffin has said that the name Bad Religion came about when the then adolescent members of the band wanted to piss people off. In 1981, the band released their initial eponymous 6-song EP as a 7-record on the newly formed label, Epitaph Records, which was, and continues to be managed, and owned by Englishtts. Also in 1981, the band began recording their first full-length album, How Could Hell Be Any Worse? During the recording of this album, drummer Jay Zentreya quit the band, and was replaced by Pete Firestone. Released in 1982, How Could Hell Be Any Worse? Was also distributed by the band under the Epitaph label, and sold roughly 12,000 copies. Into the Unknown, Back to the Known, and Hiatus. In 1983, the band released Into the Unknown, a keyboard-driven progressive hard rock album with a slightly slower pace. Almost all of the albums the band produced were sold out of the warehouse they were housed in without the band's knowledge, after which this album went out of print. This incident, as well as band members' increasingly divergent personal lives, led to the band's temporary dissolution shortly after the album's release. Soon after, Graffin reassembled Bad Religion, with Circle Jerks guitarist Greg Hetson replacing Englishtts, who had gone into rehab for his drug problem. Bad Religion returned to a somewhat mellower, rock and roll version of their original sound with the Back to the Known EP. Eventually the band split toward the middle of 1985. Reunion, Suffer, No Control, Against the Grain, and Generator. Bad Religion slowly reformed in 1986 out of the Back to the Known lineup when Graffin called Bentley, and asked him to return. Bentley's response was tentative. But after being assured that the setlist consisted mostly of tracks from How Could Hell Be Any Worse, he agreed to return for one show, and ended up staying on because he had so much fun. A freshly rehabilitated Englishtts was eventually convinced to come back aboard, and with Pete Firestone returning on drums, and Greg Hetson on second guitar, Bad Religion was back. This lineup recorded the band's third album, Suffer, which was released in 1988. The album received positive reviews in the independent music press, and was voted Best Album of the Year by publications such as Trust, Maximum Rock and Roll, and Flipside. During the Suffer tour in 1988, Bad Religion began writing new material. In early 1989, while the band was on break from touring, they commenced work on their next album, and entered the Westbiach Recorders studio in June of that year to record it. The resulting album, No Control, was released in November 1989, and was Bad Religion's best-selling album at the time, eventually selling more than 80,000 copies. Bad Religion's hardcore punk style continued with their next album, Against the Grain, which was released in 1990. While the album still did not break the band into mainstream audiences, it was the first 100,000 seller, and showed how quickly they were growing. 21st Century Digital Boy, one of the tracks off the album, is generally regarded as the band's most well-known song, and has been played at almost every live show. Drummer Pete Firestone left Bad Religion again in April 1991 to focus on his other band, The Fishermen, which had signed with a major label, and Bobby Scayer joined the band as his replacement. In May 1991, Bad Religion entered the Westbiach Recorders studio to begin recording material for their sixth studio album, Generator, which was not released until March 1992. The album was recorded almost live in the studio, because, at the time, Englishtts had moved Westbiach to larger premises, and for the first time, the entire band could play in the studio at the same time. He stated that it was time to change, and the band did it in a different studio, but as far as the songwriting, it was a deliberate effort to try something different. To accompany the album, Bad Religion filmed their first music video Atomic Garden, which was also their first song to be released as a single. To coincide with the band's success, Bad Religion released a compilation album, 8085, in 1991. It is a repackaging of their debut album, How Could Hell Be Any Worse? their 2 EPs, Bad Religion, and Back to the Known, and the band's 3-track contributions to the Public Service EP. This compilation did not include Into the Unknown. 8085 is now out of print, and has been replaced by the 2004 reissued version of How Could Hell Be Any Worse? With the same track listings. Mainstream success, and departure of Gewitz. With alternative rock and grunge breaking into the mainstream, Bad Religion signed to Atlantic Records in 1993, and quickly re-released their 7th full-length studio album Recipe for Hate on the label that same year. Despite receiving mixed reviews from music critics, the album finally broke Bad Religion into mainstream audiences, and got their highest US chart position to date, debuting at number 14 on Billboard's Heat Seekers chart, with American Jesus, and Struck a Nerve, in particular becoming major rock radio hits at their time. During their Recipe for Hate tour, the band would support several opening acts, including then Lookout Records signed punk band Green Day. Recipe for Hate was followed up by Bad Religion's 8th studio album Stranger Than Fiction. The album met high critical reception upon its release in September 1994, and was their most successful album at the time, scoring such hits as Stranger Than Fiction, Infected, and a re-recording of 21st Century Digital Boy, which was originally released on Against the Grain. The band also recorded the song Leaders and Followers, which later appeared as a bonus track on the Japanese version of Stranger Than Fiction, for the soundtrack for the Kevin Smith film, Clarks. The album was Bad Religion's first to enter the Billboard 200. The release peaked at number 87, and was awarded gold certification on the 4th of March, 1998, for sales of over 500,000 copies. With the success of that album, Bad Religion became a key member of the 1990s commercial punk rock explosion, alongside Green Day, and fellow Epitaph bands such as The Offspring, Rancid, and Knox. Gewitz left the band right before the release of Stranger Than Fiction. He officially cited the reason for his departure as the increasing amount of time he was needed at Epitaph, as The Offspring, who had just released Smash to unexpected success and acclaim, became one of the biggest bands of the mid-1990s. Gewitz, along with many fans, accused the band of selling out for leaving Epitaph to seek greater financial success. As tensions increased, Graffin would sing alternate lyrics during concerts, such as, "I want to know where Brett gets his crack," or "I want to know why Gewitz cracked," on the song Stranger Than Fiction. These barbs referred to Gewitz's struggles with crack, heroin, and other addictions which plagued him for years. Brett discussed his drug use in an interview on the band's Suffer Tour documentary, Along the Way, and claimed that he was clean and sober. In response, Gewitz recorded a song with his new band, the Daredevils, titled Hate You. Gewitz was replaced as guitarist by Brian Baker, a former member of the bands Minor Threat, Dignasty, and Junkyard. Baker declined a spot with REM to join Bad Religion. With Gewitz gone, Graffin became Bad Religion's primary songwriter. Post-Gewitz period, departure of Bobby Scayer. Bad Religion continued touring and recording without Brett Gewitz, releasing 3 more albums for Atlantic, starting with The Grey Race, produced by former Cars frontman Rick Ocasek. Despite never garnering the amount of attention that Stranger Than Fiction received, it scored Bad Religion a minor US radio hit with the song, A Walk, as well as the European release of punk rock song. In 1998, Bad Religion released their 10th full-length album, No Substance, produced by Alex Perialas, Ronnie Kimball, and the band themselves. Although the album was anticipated by music critics and fans alike as a result of the band's previous worldwide successes with Stranger Than Fiction and The Grey Race, it was given mixed reviews by both critics and fans. Following the release of No Substance, the band embarked on a year-long tour. In 1999, Gewitz reunited with Graffin to co-write a song together called Believe It, which would appear on their next album, The New America. For this new album, Todd Rundgren, an early musical inspiration for Graffin, was brought in to produce. Todd was kind of an underground sensation back in 1974. Here's a guy who was making pop music but in a way that you wouldn't hear on the radio. So much of my early musical identity was wrapped up in the way he conducted himself. In the summer of 2000, they set out on a successful 3-month US arena tour opening for Blink-182. Interest in recording the record waned due to Rundgren's poor attitude. Jay Bentley reflects on this by saying, "I didn't feel we were going anywhere, and so did Greg. Todd didn't like Greg, and that made Greg so mad. He met his idol, and he was a jerk. I don't think Todd gave a shit about anything." However, Graffin later writes in his book, Anarchy Evolution, that, although Rundgren was difficult to work with, he and Graffin remain friends to this day. Meanwhile, Bobby Scayer left the band following a serious shoulder injury, and was replaced by Brooks Wackerman. Return to Epitaph, and reunion with Gewitz. In 2001, Bad Religion departed from Atlantic Records. They returned to Epitaph, and Brett Gewitz rejoined the band. The expanded 6-piece lineup then recorded, and released The Process of Belief. Graffin stated, "There was a little bit of disappointment on my part when he left the band, but we never had any serious acrimony between the two of us. I can't say the same for the rest of the band. But he and I, being the songwriters from way back, we really wanted to try again." Their next album, The Empire Strikes First, was released in June 2004. Like The Process of Belief, it was widely regarded by fans as a return to the faster punk-style songwriting that some felt was less prominent in the band's music during their time on Atlantic. In April 2004, the band also re-released digitally remastered versions of all of their first 6 studio albums on Epitaph Records. The How Could Hell Be Any Worse? Reissue, though reclaiming the original title of the band's debut LP, contained all of the same material as the previously issued 85 compilation, including their first EP, the Public Service EP, and the Back to the Known EP. To coincide with the reissues, they also released their long out-of-print live VHS, Along the Way, on DVD for the first time. Recipe for Hate, though, could not be reissued, even though it was originally released on Epitaph, due to the fact that it had already been reissued through Atlantic, and so problems with rights ownership made a reissue unlikely. New Maps of Hell. On the 7th of March, 2006, a live DVD, Live at the Palladium, was released. This DVD featured a live show performed in late 2004 at the Hollywood Palladium, as well as extensive interviews, several music videos, and a photo gallery. During one of the interview segments, guitarist Brett Gewitz said the band's next album would be a double-length release, but this turned out to not be the case. Bad Religion's 14th studio album, New Maps of Hell, was released on the 10th of July, 2007. On the 29th of June of that year, Epitaph Records started selling New Maps of Hell at the Warped Tour in Pomona, California. The album was a commercial success and spawned 3 hit singles, Honest Goodbye, Heroes and Martyrs, and New Dark Ages. As a result, New Maps of Hell reached number 35 on the Billboard 200, marking Bad Religion's highest ever chart position. The band joined the 2007 Warped Tour to support the album. Hetson formed a supergroup band called Black President, consisting of Charlie Paulson, Jason Christopher, Wade Human, and Christian Marchuksai. In early March 2008, Bad Religion played several night residences at House of Blues venues in Southern California as well as Las Vegas. They performed 4 European festival appearances in May and June. On the 8th of July 2008, Bad Religion released their first ever deluxe edition CD, a reissue of the then-current album, New Maps of Hell. The deluxe version included the original 16-song CD along with 7 new acoustic tracks recorded by Graffin and Gewitz. 3 of the acoustic songs were new, written specifically for this release, while the other 4 tracks were acoustic versions of existing Bad Religion songs. The release also included a DVD with an hour-long live performance, music videos, and behind-the-scenes footage. 30 Years Live, and The Descent of Man. In June 2008, Jay Bentley said in an interview at the Pinkpop Festival in Landgraaf, Netherlands, that Englishtts had already begun writing new material for the next Bad Religion album. He stated that the band was planning to return to the studio to start work on the follow-up to New Maps of Hell, planned for a June 2009 release, after Graffin teaches UCLA. However, according to a December 2008 report on the fan site, the Bad Religion page, Bentley revealed that due to Bad Religion's upcoming touring commitments for 2009, the band would not have a chance to record their new album until around the end of the year, for an expected 2010 release date. In August 2009, guitarist Brett Gurewitz sent an email to a fan site mentioning he was writing new material for the next Bad Religion album. In December 2009, Bentley revealed to the fan site that the band was expected to go into the studio on the 26th of April 2010 to start recording their new album. He stated that a few songs for the album had been written and it feels like the songwriting is picking up momentum. Baker said he was going to drive up to Graffin's, and Brooks and I are going to do some demos with Brett, so we have a pretty good jump. According to Brett's Twitter, Bad Religion is aiming for a fall release of the new album. In January 2010, Bentley revealed that Bad Religion would record their new album at a studio in Pasadena, California, with Joe Barresi, who engineered 2004's The Empire Strikes First, and produced its 2007 follow-up, New Maps of Hell. Despite the statement made by Bentley about entering the studio in April, he noted that the recording date was now May 1st. In March and April 2010, to commemorate their 30th anniversary, Bad Religion toured Southern California's and Nevada's House of Blues locations, playing 30 shows in 30 nights with a 30-song set each night. At the House of Blues concert in Anaheim, California, on the 17th of March 2010, the band debuted a new song called Resistance from their upcoming album. To coincide with the tour, Bad Religion announced a live album, entitled 30 Years Live, which was released as a free download for those who had signed up to the mailing list at Bad Religion's website. It consists of songs recorded during their House of Blues tour. It also included some new songs from their 15th studio album, before the new album was released. 30 Years Live was mixed by Mike Fraser and was released on the 18th of May, 2010. In June 2010, the fan site reported that the new album would be released on the 28th of September, 2010. Jay mentioned on the site's message board that Bad Religion had finished recording their new album, and was mixing it. In an interview at the Ascona Rock Festival on the 26th of June, 2010, the band members announced that the new album would be called The Descent of Man. The Descent of Man was released on the 28th of September, 2010. The album debuted at number 35 on the Billboard 200 chart and at number 6 on the Billboard Independent Albums chart. On the 30th of August, 2010, the album version of the song, The Resistance, was released on Bad Religion's MySpace page. The song was also made available for streaming on the page a week before the album's release. The band had been touring throughout 2011 to support the album. On the 18th of October, 2010, Bad Religion released a vinyl box set of all their albums that is limited to 3,000 copies, including their 1983 album, Into the Unknown, which had been out of print for over 25 years, True North. In an April 2011 interview with the Washington Examiner, guitarist Brian Baker was asked if Bad Religion was going to make another album after The Descent of Man. His response was, It's all very punk, just like it's always been. We will record when we have enough songs. For us, it just kind of happens. During the Boston show on the 29th of April, 2011, frontman Greg Graffin said, "After this year you probably won't be seeing much more of us. We're going to try one more album, and then all join the Navy, do honest work," hinting at a possible split or hiatus. Bassist Jay Bentley mentioned an early 2012 time frame for going back into the studio in an interview at Live 105 SBFD Festival, which took place the day after the Weenie Roast. In February 2012, it was reported that Brett had written 2 songs for the album. On the 25th of June, 2011, Bad Religion performed a live set for Guitar Center sessions on DirecTV. The episode included an interview with program host, Nic Harcourt. According to a May 2012 interview with Pennywise guitarist Fletcher Dragg, Brett is writing a fast Bad Religion album. He also said that Pennywise's then new album, All or Nothing, inspired Brett to write a sequel to the band's 1989 album, No Control. On the 4th of June, 2012, Jay Bentley told the Bad Religion fan site, The Bad Religion page, that they were expected to begin recording their new album in July and August. He also stated that Brett and Joe Barresi are going to produce it. On the 23rd of July, the band uploaded a picture to Bad Religion's Facebook page of all the members in the studio with the caption, "Here we go again," indicating that work on their 16th studio album had begun. On the 22nd of August, Brett Gowitz tweeted that they were mixing the album, and, a month later, he tweeted that the band was finishing it. Greg Graffin later stated that the album was supposed to be out by Christmas. Fuck You was the album's lead single and released on iTunes on November the 6th, which happened to be Greg Graffin's 48th birthday. On the 5th of November, 2012, it was announced that Bad Religion's 16th studio album, True North, would be released on the 22nd of January, 2013. On that same day, they premiered the new single Fuck You. True North has received mostly positive reviews and managed to reach number 18 on the Billboard 200 Albums chart, marking Bad Religion's first ever top 20 album and highest ever peak on that chart in their entire 34-year career. Departures of Hetson and Wackerman, and Christmas songs. Bad Religion played a few shows as a 4-piece, without Greg Hetson and Brett Gowitz in mid-April, May 2013, starting with their appearance at That Damn Show in Mesa, AZ, on the 20th of April, including some high-profile shows such as Grows Rock in Belgium, leading fans to speculate over Greg Hetson's continued involvement in the band. On the 7th of May, 2013, Jay Bentley issued a statement to the fan site, which read, "Greg Hetson is dealing with some personal issues. If he wishes to make a statement we will support that, if he chooses not to we will support that. Mike Dimkick is indeed helping us out right now, and we are genuinely appreciative. Right now we are just looking forward, and getting ready to play our shows." The reason Hetson had not been touring with Bad Religion was likely due to the divorce of his second wife Alia. On the 11th of January, 2014, Bentley confirmed on thebpage.net that Dimkick is a permanent member of the band. A few days later, Download Festival's official website uploaded a photograph of the new lineup. Later, in 2022, Hetson appeared on the podcast Fat Mike's Fat Mix stating he was let go due to his admitted addiction to painkillers, and the behavior he exhibited due to this addiction. On the 10th of September, 2013, it was announced that Bad Religion would be releasing their first Christmas album, titled Christmas Songs, on the 29th of October, 2013. It was their first album to not feature Greg Hetson since 1983's Into the Unknown. In a November 2013 interview, guitarist Brett Gowitz stated that Bad Religion would start writing their 17th studio album in 2014, and guitarist Brian Baker said that he hoped Bad Religion would start recording the album in the fall of 2015. However, in a September 2015 interview, frontman Greg Graffin stated that he had been working on his first solo album since 2006's Cold as the Clay, and that the band would begin writing their new album after the release of his third solo album, Millport, so a new Bad Religion album would not be released until around late 2016. Baker said, however, that the new album would not be released until 2017. Asked in a March 2017 interview about the follow-up to True North, Graffin said, "It's one of the great challenges as artist, is to maintain the tradition of his, or her prior work. That's hard to do. It normally takes 2 years to put out an album. Why has it taken us 4 years to release an album after True North? Well, True North was such a great album, and we owe it to our fans to take it seriously as a great album, that to do another one is going to take a lot more work." Millport was eventually released on the 10th of March 2017. From July to September 2014, Bad Religion embarked on the Summer Nationals tour with Pennywise, their former label mates The Offspring, The Vandals, Stiff Little Fingers, and Naked Ray Gun supported them on selected dates. On the 27th of October 2015, drummer Brooks Wackerman officially left the band in order to pursue other projects, joining Avenged Sevenfold a week later. He was replaced by Jamie Miller. Age of Unreason, and follow-up album. On the 14th of February 2018, vocalist Greg Graffin posted on Twitter a picture of himself with guitarist Brett Gurewitz in the studio, tweeting, "New songs in the pipeline," indicating that they were working on Bad Religion's 17th studio album. Speculations about the album resurfaced in April of that year when Gurewitz and guitarist Brian Baker posted pictures from the studio on their respective Instagram accounts. On the 20th of June 2018, the band released the song, "The Kids Are Alt-Right," their first single in 5 years. Despite earlier reports that they had been in the studio since February, up to mid-2018, and the fact that they had already released a new song, Gurewitz told Los Angeles Times in July 2018 that, "We're writing for a new album, recording this fall, or late summer. No release date announced yet, but we should have an album's worth of Fuck Trump songs pretty soon. It's exactly what we need." On the 26th of February 2019, Bad Religion announced Age of Unreason as the title of their 17th studio album, which was released on May 3, and the album's lead single, Chaos From Within, was premiered. On the 18th of August 2020, Do What You Want, The Story of Bad Religion, an autobiography covering the band's 40-year career, was released by Hachette Books. About 4 months after the release of Age of Unreason, guitarist Brian Baker was asked if Bad Religion was already working on a follow-up album. His response was, "No, I'm not really thinking about a new album right now, because this one is still developing, and there is a lot of world yet to play. 2020 is going to be a busy year for us, it's our 40th anniversary year. We have a book coming out at the end of the year, it'll be our first authorized, somewhat participatory, biography of Bad Religion. So there is a lot more to do with this record. The good thing about Bad Religion is that you don't really have to have a new product out to go work. The catalogue we have is so extensive, and we are so fortunate to have the fan base that we have. So we don't really worry about a new album cycle, those things just sort of come when they come. The next one might take 4 or 5 years, it might take 2, I don't know. It's just about where the songs have come together in a way that is respectful of the Bad Religion standard. But in the meantime, we have Brazil to rock." When asked in August 2019 about the future of the band, Bentley stated, "Everything I know about everything came from being in this band, and came from some conversations driving in the van for hours on end. We're just these guys who don't want to stop asking why. We are what we are as Bad Religion. We're the thinking man's punk band, and that's kept us out of the mainstream. We're writing smart songs, and that makes us dumb. In an August 2020 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Graffin said, "We've been working on some music, just as we're socially distant from each other, each of us has home recording studios. I always write music acoustically." In November 2022, Baker confirmed that Gowitz was starting to dust off his writing boots, and expressed hope that the band's next album will be recorded in 2023. On the 29th of April 2020, Bad Religion announced on their social media accounts that they had to cancel all of their tour dates for that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, including a co-headlining US tour with Alkaline Trio, therefore marking 2020 as the first year the band did not perform at least one show since their inception in 1980. They subsequently also rescheduled their South American and European tour dates with Suicidal Tendencies, Melancholine, and Pulley to 2022, originally scheduled for May and June 2021, once again due to the COVID pandemic. They also rescheduled their North American tour with Alkaline Trio, which was slated to take place in the fall of 2021. In October 2020, Bad Religion released a new song, "What Are We Standing For?" on streaming platforms, which was an outtake from the Age of Unreason sessions. On the 20th of January 2021, Bad Religion released a previously unreleased song called "Emancipation of the Mind," which was recorded during the Age of Unreason sessions. The release of the song coincided with the inauguration of Joe Biden, and it had more hopeful themes compared to other songs that they've written, while also being a rejection of Trumpism. As of February 2025, Bad Religion is in the studio to record a follow-up album to Age of Unreason, which was released in 2019. Style and influences. Bad Religion has been described as melodic hardcore, punk rock, skate punk, and hardcore punk. The band's major influences stemmed from late 1970s punk acts like the Ramones, the Germs, the Sex Pistols, and the Clash, along with early 1980s American hardcore bands such as Black Flag, Minor Threat, and the Circle Jerks. Unlike many other hardcore bands of the era, they also acknowledged proto-punk bands like the New York Dolls, MC5, and the Stooges. Even more unusual for a band of the scene that spawned them, they were also informed by such new wavers as Elvis Costello, The Jam, and Nick Lowe, as well as authors like Jack Kerouac. The Beatles were also a huge influence on Bad Religion. The band had said that the Beatles were about the only band everyone in Bad Religion really liked. Reviewers have repeatedly cited an upbeat and positive tone to both the band's melody and lyrics, even when dealing with dark topics. Greg Graffin called his influences pop-sounding rock tunes that were not necessarily commercial. Brett Gowitz acknowledges attempting to emulate Germs singer Davy Crash early on in Bad Religion's lyrical style. He wrote some intelligent stuff, and didn't shy away from the vocabulary, which I thought was cool. In addition to their use of unusually sophisticated vocabulary for a punk band, Bad Religion is also known for their frequent use of vocal harmonies. They took their cues from the Adolescents in the way they used three-part harmonies. Bassist Jay Bentley said, "Seeing the Adolescents live, it was so brilliant. So, in a way, the Adolescents influenced us into saying we can do it too, because look, they are doing it." Legacy. Various bands have cited Bad Religion as an influence, including Rise Against, AFI, Parkway Drive, Knox, I Am the Avalanche, and Miss Vincent. Funeral for a Friend vocalist Matt Davies Cray has also mentioned Bad Religion as an influence, particularly with their Against the Grain album. Beliefs. Politics. Many of Bad Religion's songs are about different social ills, although they try not to ascribe the causes of these ills to any single person or group. Greg Graffin believes that the current political situation in the United States can make it difficult to voice these concerns, as he does not want to feed the polarization of viewpoints. The band contributed a song to the Rock Against Bush series organized by Fat Mike's Punk Voter, a political activist group and website whose supporters are primarily left-liberal members of the punk subculture. Bretgowitz attributed his anger towards former U.S. President George W. Bush as the major inspiration for The Empire Strikes First. In a similar fashion, the album Age of Unreason was inspired by the band's disdain for Donald Trump. Bad Religion performed at L7's abortion rights benefit Rock for Choice at the Hollywood Palladium on 30 April, 1993, with acts such as Stone Temple Pilots, White Zombie, Bikini Kill, King Missile, and Free Kitten with Kim Gordon. Hetson often wore a Rock for Choice t-shirt when performing, as he did when the band performed 21st Century, Digital Boy on Late Night with Conan O'Brien in 1994. Bentley has also worn Rock for Choice t-shirts, such as when they performed the Phoenix Festival in the United Kingdom in 1993. The band's song, Operation Rescue, on Against the Grain, is a pro-choice song, named after anti-abortion organization Operation Rescue. Despite the name of the band, or the band's logo, the members do not consider themselves anti-theist. In this way, their songs are more about anti-conformity than anti-religion. Contrary to popular belief, Graffin identifies himself as a naturalist rather than an atheist. Despite this, he did co-author the book Is Belief in God Good, Bad or Irrelevant, which is based on a series of lengthy debates about science and religion between Graffin and historian Preston Jones. In 2010, Graffin released Anarchy Evolution, in which he promotes his naturalist worldview. The band's bassist Jay Bentley has stated that he has spiritual beliefs. Bretgowitz is a provisional deist. On 24 March 2012, Bad Religion headlined the Reason Rally in Washington, D.C., sharing the stage with Eddie Izzard, Richard Dawkins, Tim Minchin, and James Randi. Logo: the Crossbuster. Bad Religion's logo, a black Latin cross with a red prohibition sign over it, has been referred to by fans as the Crossbuster. It was created by guitarist Bretgowitz, who drew it on a piece of paper and showed it to the rest of the band. The Crossbuster logo features prominently in the band's merchandising and album art. Discography: studio albums: How Could Hell Be Any Worse, 1982. Into the Unknown, 1983. Suffer, 1988. No Control, 1989. Against the Grain, 1990. Generator, 1992. Recipe for Hate, 1993. Stranger Than Fiction, 1994. The Grey Race, 1996. No Substance, 1998. The New America, 2000. The Process of Belief, 2002. The Empire Strikes First, 2004. New Maps of Hell, 2007. The Descent of Man, 2010. True North, 2013. Age of Unreason, 2019.